Hi, I want to share with you a book about John Muir. He is a really important naturalist from the 20th century, and he's really the reason that we have national parks. And also, he started the conservation movement or the preservation of land movement so that we can have outdoor spaces in which animals can live and we can go explore that aren't touched by industry and other things that might pollute it. And so if you enjoy going outside, John Muir is a personal hero, and you might enjoy learning more about him. So this is called John Muir, America's Naturalist, and it's by Thomas Locker. High up in the Sierra Mountains of California is a valley called Yosemite. Every year, millions of people come to see this special temple of nature, an immense hall flanked by granite cliffs and thundering waterfalls. It was in Yosemite that a lean and grizzly bearded man named John Muir learned to see nature in a new way. By sharing his love of the wild with others, he changed the way many people think about the natural world. John Muir was born in Scotland in 1838. When John was 11 years old, his family sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to the United States. His father, a devout and strict man, decided to start a farm in Wisconsin. While carving a homestead out of the wilderness, John listened to his father preach from the Bible. His father tried to convince John that nature was God's gift to man to use as a resource. John worked very hard and grew up lean and strong-willed, but he soon began to form his own ideas about nature. As a young man, John Muir worked as an inventor until he temporarily lost his eyesight in a factory accident. While recovering, he made a huge decision: to leave the factory and devote his life to the study of nature. When his eyesight returned, he set off and walked 1,000 miles from Indiana to the Gulf of Mexico, making careful notes in his journal about the plants and animals he saw. Whoa, that's pretty crazy. 1,000-mile walk? John's travels led him to California. He found a job herding sheep in the high meadows near Yosemite Valley. When the sheep entered Yosemite, John saw the unforgettable skyline of sculptured domes and spires. The beauty took his breath away. And there's a quote from him down here that says, "The clearest way to the universe is through a forest wilderness." Yosemite had a powerful effect on John Muir. He moved to the valley and for years took odd jobs, which left him plenty of time to hike and explore. He went up into the mountains in search of glaciers and into the groves of gigantic and ancient trees. Yosemite became his home. Another quote: "People are beginning to find out that going to the mountains is going home. That wilderness is a necessity." So he actually lived in Yosemite. Like, he would go out for weeks. People wouldn't hear from him. He would go and live in nature and try to experience Yosemite from different things' point of view, like how the rock must feel at the top of a mountain during a thunderstorm. He would stand up there during a thunderstorm to really feel what that rock was feeling. It's pretty crazy. In the groves of ancient trees, John studied the ways of the animals, the bears, the deer, squirrels, and even the tiny ants. He called the soaring trees the tree people. He identified the different kinds of pines and fir trees and made drawings of the noble redwoods and the ancient sequoia. Some of the sequoia were thousands of years old. When furious storms swept through Yosemite, John Muir was delighted. He loved the wildness of nature. To get even closer to the howling winds of the storm, he climbed to the top of a bucking Douglas fir and hung on, swaying and listening. John Muir stayed in Yosemite year-round. He loved winter and was known to disappear into the mountains for days. He treaded lightly without a blanket, carrying only some bread and tea. One day, after climbing up a long, snow-covered slope, he heard an avalanche beginning. John sat down, lifted his feet, and slid on the crest safely to the floor of the valley. When it came time for John to settle down, he married and became the father of 2 girls. John ran a farm in the valley, but continually returned to his beloved Yosemite. He became upset when lumber interests and cattlemen began closing in. At the urging of his friends, John started writing to encourage the preservation of the wilderness. John Muir became well known. People loved his writing. Powerful, rich, and important people, philosophers, scientists, industrialists, even the President of the United States, came to meet the rugged mountain man. John helped start the Sierra Club, one of the first organizations devoted to preserving wilderness. A tireless political crusader in the fight to create national parks, John Muir talked with the legislators in California and Washington, D.C. He wrote books and articles. John won many battles and lost some. Still, he found time to explore the glaciers of Alaska and other wilderness areas all over the world. Here's another quote. Wildness bestows a new sense of Earth's beauty and size. John Muir's years of wandering in the wilderness led him to a deeper way of seeing nature. Everything from the smallest snowflake to the farthest star were part of nature, and man was not its master. Because of John Muir's gifts, people today can see nature with new eyes. So if you've been to a national park, you can thank John Muir for his work in helping you be able to do that now, over 100 years later.